Hey everybody. Hey, round two at trying out this anti-turf stream. Hopefully with the internet will be a bit more likable. I guess I don't know how I want to say this. The internet will like me a bit more today and we'll go ahead and get some of this content out. If not, maybe I'll just have to record it and put it out as like a VOD or something. But we'll see. I really do want to do this on stream though. Cause I mean, love interacting with you guys. Love hanging out. Let's see. Let me make sure I post this up on Twitter, and we can just get started. I mean, I did. You caught the start of the stream earlier today, where I attempted to go live. You've heard my whole spiel on like the whole anti-turf movement, or wow, not anti-turf movement. Jesus, the whole like anti-trans movement coming around and how it's kind of hitting its peak point at the the same way that anti-gay marriage was getting, where it got to the ridiculousness of just whatever you can do to get into the headlines and saying things like, well, it's going to lead to marrying dogs and stuff like that. And like I do feel like that's where we are currently at with trans rights and trans issues, but replace marry with dogs with they're gonna these men just want to invade your daughter's locker rooms and stuff of that nature. Like that's absolutely like been on the rise recently, and it's kind of it's one of those things where it's the peak of an anti anything movement is typically where you see its dying breath. Like the whole anti-gay marriage movement got to the peak of ridiculousness of they're going to marry dogs in the face of it coming up that gay marriage was going to be legalized soon enough. Like it was an inevitability. Good thing. Um and I feel like we're at that point with trans issues too, where trans acceptance has gotten a lot higher. Trans visibility in particular has gotten way higher. And people are feeling more acceptable to be more acceptable to be trans. There's a little bit less of a social stigmatization around it. So of course the anti movement is going to be coming back at it in tenfold. And when you're anti something like trans people having rights, just the same rights you have, not even any extra ones, just the same ones you get, there's not really anywhere to pull from except extravagancies, like except kind of going above and beyond on it and going to the level of freaking out about bathrooms, or people are going to try to invade my daughter's locker room in high school, and it has to get down to ridiculous stuff like that. But anyway, that's all to say. This kind of got a hair up my or bug up my ass. I think that's the term. I kind of got a bug up my ass and going like just really tired of seeing it over and over again. And it's brought me back into doing some reaction content. We're gonna start out with a good old PragerU, and then we'll just go ahead and get on through. And just drink some water real quick, and we'll get on in it. For Dawn. Oh, I didn't start the recording. I'm so dumb. Oh boy, this is gonna be a good one, ain't it? For millennia, man has asked the question, has sat there, pondered, as years and years went by, and more people had to sit there and went, why do girls become boys? And I'm no gender philosopher. I cannot answer all the questions for you. But lucky enough, our good friends at PragerU can go ahead and answer it for us. We're going to go ahead and check out Why Girls Become Boys by PragerU. If I remember right, this is actually by the chick who coined that whole what is it, like, rapid onset gender dysphoria. That's what it is. Right. I'm pretty sure the lady they have speaking is the rapid onset gender dysphoria. So let's have some fun. Let's check her out.
If you know any middle or high school girls today, or if you are one yourself, it would not be surprising if you know someone who
That's not her.
identifies
Abigail Schreier is, yeah, she just has been making the rounds on conservative talk shows recently because she dropped that Irreversible Damage the Transgender Craze book. I must have been thinking about like a like a second speaker or something that they have in this because I know Lisa Littman is.
as transgender. The latest statistics indicate that 2% of American high school students now identify as transgender, and the overwhelming majority of them are teenage girls. Between
Now the the reason that she decides she needs to like put emphasis on the teenage girls part is because both her and Lisa Littman are heavy turfs. Like they go hard on the trans exclusionary portion of their feminism. And a big turf talking point at the moment is that women are
2016
being
and 2017,
oops women are being pushed away from being women and deciding to become men rather than dealing with the problems that come with being a woman, and or that they're just confused lesbians and stuff like that. It's honestly really demeaning stuff. But that's why they decided to like focus in on it being specifically high school girls at a higher rate that are transitioning. But I want to roll it back a little bit because she said a percentage like it's a high amount. Like, yeah, here we go. 2% of American high school students identify as transgender. That's not even that high of a number. Like, that's much higher than it used to be for sure. But to be fair, like, even back to when I was in high school, and I'm 26, guys, no old dude. Like, even back to the when I was in middle school and like high school, like the transgender discussion was limited to the occasional niche movie or like episodes of Law and Order where you'd see a dead hooker. Like it wasn't exactly positive, and besides it not just being positive, it didn't explain what a trans person was to you at all. So like I'd say up until I was 16, 17. Now there's people who are much smarter than me, thank God, when they're kids. But even like me up to 16, 17, I didn't really know what, like, I thought the trans person, I don't even know what I thought actually. Now I think about it, I think I had a vague idea of a cross dresser, but with like both sets of genitalia or something. I have no idea. But like the point I'm getting at here is the reason that there is a rise up to 2% is because people are finally feeling accepted again. Or not again, just finally at all. Like, acceptance and visibility goes a long way into people being able to interpret what's currently going on with them, especially when they're having like struggles with their gender identity. Now, acceptance and visibility isn't the end all. We need to get actual work done to like equalize things out and maybe get violence rates against trans people down a lot. But this is a start here.
overwhelming majority of them are teenage girls. Between 2016 and 2017 alone, the number of females seeking gender surgery in America quadrupled. But if you graduated high school over a decade ago, it was unlikely that you knew anyone who was transgender because, according to the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental
So, hold on.
Disorders, the condition underlying it afflicted roughly 1 in 10,000 people.
Okay, they're talking about gender dysphoria, I guess. I don't know why they. That's weird. It's weird to call gender dysphoria an underlying like cause of being trans. Like it's obviously like a reason that you would transition for sure, but and putting it in those terms sounds like you're using the DSM to diagnose someone with trans, and like not disease, guys, or disorder. Let's see. All right, so let me roll this
Because,
back a little
according
bit.
to the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, the condition underlying it afflicted roughly 1 in 10,000 people, or 0.01% of the population.
Yeah, they're talking about
Almost
gender
none of these
dysphoria for
cases were
sure.
teenage girls. In fact, before 2012, there was no scientific or medical literature discussing adolescent girls who wanted to transition to the opposite sex. That doesn't mean that we didn't know about trans.
That's not a good thing. Like, and she's gonna go on to say, that doesn't mean we didn't know that trans people didn't exist, but that, like, there not being any academic literature on adolescents and like people who are trans, like, it shouldn't be something that you're stating as like a good thing. That should be highlighting a failure of our system at this point. Like up until 2012, there was nothing, like no books at all written on prepubescent like trans girls. That's insane. And like I'm willing to bet that goes a long way into like post 2012 once literature started being out there and there started to be professional discussions in people in like the endocrinology and psychology professions. I bet that is why you're seeing a lot more people going up, like, or the number of people transitioning going up. It's not a bad thing though. It's literally
Gender.
people you gave people tools and then they used the tools and went, "Oh, okay, I'm either trans or I'm comfortable with my birth, like my birth gender." Like this is just being upset that your team is losing players because people are transitioning. That's literally all this is.
Individuals. Gender dysphoria, the severe discomfort in one's biological sex, has been studied for nearly 100 years. It almost always involved boys who began feeling it between the ages of 2 and 4 and were strong and persistent in their assertions to everyone around them that they were really girls. When a phenomenon that affects one half of a population, boys, suddenly begins affecting the other half, girls, and when its age of onset shifts from preschool to adolescence, something significant is happening. In 2016, Brown University public health researcher Lisa Littman began studying this.
Yeah, I knew Lisa Littman was in this. I'm not crazy. I was gonna say I thought I had seen like part of this before, but yeah, it's that whole like thing here with it. Oh God, sorry. Let me go back over. I'm still in the
Phenomenon that
mode of
affects
working with
one
my
half
internet that like got myself out of the zone.
of a population, boys, suddenly begins affecting the other half, girls, and when its age of onset shifts from preschool to adolescence, something significant is happening. In 2016, Brown University public health researcher Lisa Littman began studying the sudden spike in trans identification of teenage girls. She concluded that peer influence and social media influence had a lot to do with this trans teen phenomenon. After all, based on parent reports, none of these girls had.
Yeah, so just real quick, if anybody watching this doesn't know who Lisa Littman is, I saw in chat a few people do at least. Lisa Littman managed to ask a bunch of parents on a forum about their children transitioning, why they felt they transitioned, and God, there was a third question. What was it? It was like the age they transitioned, why they were transitioning, and something else. But she then used that to use that data to come to the conclusion that gender dysphoria was being rapidly onset from people interacting with their peers on social media. Like it's absolute nonsense. Social media definitely like attributes to the information being readily available to people and like, you know, you being able to interact with more diverse information, but it's no hey, there's no rapid onset of gender dysphoria that's happening because of people getting the information. You could be learning that it's happening to you and then going, "Oh, that's why I feel awful just all the time."
Exhibited symptoms of gender dysphoria at the age that it typically first presents, early childhood. YouTube, Reddit, Tumblr, TikTok, and Instagram all host popular social media influencers, today's version of Hollywood stars, who insist that if you feel uncomfortable in your body, you're probably trans. Many promise that if you start a course
That's a weird way to put that too. Insist that if you're uncomfortable in your body, you're probably trans. Like, first off, influencers are always going out and talking about how rough a transition can be and like what that process is like for them. Like there's definitely no glorification of it. And like to say that trans influencers are saying, "Hey, if you feel uncomfortable in your body, you're probably trans." I mean, maybe I'm just not in the right spheres to have seen this. I've literally never seen that before. The most I've seen is hey, maybe you're trans. Maybe that's something you should talk about. But like the insistence that you must be trans if you're uncomfortable in your body is just something that I don't think I've seen exhibited by anybody.
of testosterone, all of your problems will go away. There's every reason to believe that these girls are experiencing real psychological pain. Rates of anxiety, depression, and instances of self harm are all at record levels for this generation. A quick fix becomes very tempting. So it doesn't take much, a YouTube video, a friend's suggestion, to get a troubled girl to buy into the fantasy that gender transition is the answer. Unfortunately for these girls who do not have typical gender dysphoria, gender transition rarely offers relief. And it's a
I So now I don't doubt that this has ever happened before, because saying never, like you'll be able to pull up some instance, but implying that like transitioning is a quick fix to like depression or anything really is seems really irresponsible at best. Like the process of transitioning wouldn't I mean it sure will help with someone's depression if they were experiencing gender dysphoria, but it's not exactly easy, and it's not, unfortunately it's not something that our society is going to make amicable for you at all anyway. So like let's just go.
catastrophic
Can't make
mistake
this
for
video too long.
psychologists, educators, and the medical establishment to rush these teens towards a solution that will almost certainly harm rather than heal.
they're they're not rushing teens towards a solution. So that's another thing too with it being a quick fix. Because like where a lot of these turf arguments come from will be a will them well sorry, where they claim they come from will be a worry that people are going to start going through certain medical transitions, right? But the process to start going through a medical transition, even in the most lenient of states, like, is still pretty extensive. Not to mention how much it'll just cost, like, monetarily wise. But the amount of, like, doctors you need to see, the amount of, like, multiple referrals that you'll need to get, it's not something that can be easily done. And it's definitely not something that people are being rushed towards. Like there are trans people on my timeline every day, like talking about them getting excited for them getting the chance to get on hormones. Like now that being said, my state's not the most permissive out there, so it's a bit harder here. But there's nowhere in the U.S. that there's a teen that can get rushed through in like in a month beyond a set of HRT and like starting to go through medical transition. That doesn't exist.
Because here's what's not in dispute: unnecessary medical gender transition causes irreversible damage, high risk of infertility, sexual dysfunction, and the creation of a permanent medical patient. Tragically, we've made it far too easy for kids to take this path, long before they're ready psychologically or emotionally to make such a life-altering decision. Testosterone is easily obtained by today's teens. In Oregon, a
No,
15 year
it's
old can
not.
walk into a gender clinic. Yes, there are now gender clinics all over the country, and walk out the same day with a prescription for testosterone without her parents' permission.
That's that's tech. So that's technically true. You could go if you are already because in 50. God, I had to do a video response on like when Oregon passed this law. What was done was that Oregon's laws for any 15-year-old for any medical thing at all, whether it's normal prescription, going and getting a checkup done, procedures, nothing needs to be done like have consent of a parent after 15. So that part's true. And if you were already a patient of that gender clinic and had gotten through the point where you could be prescribed testosterone, yes, you could go in for your appointment and then get that prescription at the age of 15. But it falls into a pretty specific use case there. And like also ignores the fact that that's just Oregon state's law for like medical consent in general. It doesn't have anything to do with gender clinics.
16-year-old girls have been able to undergo double mastectomies, the removal of both breasts, without even a therapist's note. Predictably, hasty gender transition, remember we're talking about teenagers here, is now leading to a lot of regret. New testimonials appear on YouTube almost every week from teens who acknowledge that they made a terrible mistake and warn others not to make the same one. So, how do you protect?
So here's a hint, guys. If you're ever in an argument with someone, or even having a conversation, whatever, going back and forth, debating on something, if someone ever goes, "Well, there's a lot of blank on YouTube," outie, outie, it's a bad conversation. Like they're just grasping at straws at this point, unless you're specifically talking about like how often like something is popping up on YouTube, then there's no reason to cite YouTube if you know what you're talking about. Hey, actually, good point, Sam. Notice there's no citation on the mastectomy thing. Like, yeah, like PragerU will just kind of machine gun your way through, cite a couple of things, and then just lie through the rest of it. But there's a couple of citations, so it must all be true, right?
Protect your daughter from being drawn into this dangerous and growing trend? First, limit their exposure to social media as much as you can. Several academic studies have already linked the alarming rates of anxiety and depression to young girls' punishing experience on social media, a place that often makes them feel sad, unattractive, and alone. Second, oppose the teaching of gender ideology.
Okay, hold on. We're gonna stop there with number one. Like, notice that wasn't just like, hey, have your daughter maybe not spend as much time on social media. It was make sure your children are spending as little time on social media as you possibly can. Like, their advice for your kid being depressed and possibly wanting to transition because of gender dysphoria is to take their phone away from them. Like, that's gonna go great. Son, I know you're feeling real bad, and things just aren't working out for you. Things feel a little bit weird right now, and I know you're not gonna thank me for this now, but you will later. Give me your phone, you little shit. Like, come on, dude.
in your kid's school. In California, gender identity education begins in kindergarten and proceeds through high school. The theme is that kids' gender identity is totally independent of their physical sex and something that only they can know. Schools can and should insist that every child be treated respectfully without sowing gender confusion in an entire student population.
I like that teaching kids about gender sows gender confusion throughout the entire population. Like, not refusing to teach children about gender at all and refusing to interact with it at all. It's actually telling them information and knowledge that's confusing them, you see.
Third, and most importantly, remember that a teenager is still just a teenager. You don't have to agree with every identity proclamation your daughter comes up with. Knowledge of her identity will develop over time. Until then, being the adult in the relationship is the most loving thing you can do. I'm Abigail Schreier.
Don't do that. Okay, so I don't know if anybody watching this is a parent. If you are a parent, do not do this. Like, if your 14-year-old daughter comes up to you and says, "Hey, dad, mom, I think I might be trans." Like, don't proceed to go, "Well, I need you to give me your cell phone right now because clearly you've been on TikTok too much. And also, you're a girl. I know you're a girl. You're born a girl. This is your name and deal with it." Like, that's not an appropriate response. Oh
Author of
boy.
Irreversible Damage, The Transgender Craze Seducing Our Daughters, for Prager University.
God, every time I hear her book's title, it drives me crazy. The irreversible craze targeting your daughters. Like, it's such empty virtue signally turf bull crap. Um, I honestly I don't know why I expected from
Thank you for watching.
PragerU. Like, their videos are always very, very bad. But hey, at least at least we could start this off with just pure vitriol and hate. So hey, two things. One, if you're a parent, please don't ever do that. Just don't. If for some reason you're really against your kids transitioning, sit down and shut the fuck up. And two, I hope you enjoyed the video. And please, if you did, like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps the channel grow, and I would appreciate it a ton. Peace. God, that was crazy. I watched like the first maybe half of that video and then went, "Oh yeah, this is going on stream." I didn't know that that just ended with her going like, "Yeah, the way that you should handle your trans kids is telling them that they're not trans and that they need to give them your cell phone, sweetie." That's nuts. And yeah, you're right. Go get your gun. 100% it is fear mongering. Oh, okay. Let's see. What else did I have in? Oh, right. All right. I'm gonna give it leave it up to you two guys in chat. You want to have to deal with Candace Owens or another TERF right now? Because we got Jenny Murray or Candace Owens and Michael Knowles in the same room.
Are we good, guys? Are we rolling?
Let me see. Yeah, I feel you a lot. Go get your gun on that like paternalistic thing towards AFAB trans people. Like I legit saw oh god, it was on like Red Eye or something. There was a turf that went on this long like I want to call it a rant, but it was just a string of her like fake sympathy posting essentially. Like it just going like, well, our poor sisters just don't understand what they're doing. And clearly if we had just got to them first, they'd be lesbians instead of trans men. And all and of course, I mean, it's just this ideology that's being pushed on them, don't you see? Like it was legit her doing that for an entire interview. Nuts. Yeah. You know, Candace Owens show is actually super hard to find now because, like, that one that launched in the middle of March, she literally just called it Candace. Like, hold on, before I start the next video, I'll show you guys this, and we'll start it in on. We'll do the turf one that's short, and then we'll go to Candace Owens. But look at this. Literally, the channel's name is Candace. To get to this, I had to go and search. No, I had to go to Michael Knowles' channel, watch one of his videos, and then get it through a recommended. It's fucking nuts. And apparently, in the 3 weeks she's been on, she's managed to make what is this like 7 videos? Only made 7 videos? Huh. Uncancelable since 1989. Hold on. I need to take a snippet of that before she realizes how cringe that is. Snipping tool. There we go. Did I say Ariel Scarcella at some point? I don't know if I did. I think there's a video in here we can do first too. Um, tell you what, we'll do Jenny Murray because it's a 4 minuter. Knock that out real quick, and then I'll pull up some Ariel Scarcella. I know she said something dumb recently. That's she lives saying something dumb recently, so I'm pretty sure we'll find something. Let's get some water done. Mm. Ooh, I don't. I don't know how to open this video. Shit. uh, a few days ago, it was Trans Day of almost. God damn it! I said remember. I was gonna say remembrance. Whoops! I just need to delete that recording. All right. A few days ago was Trans Day of Visibility, and there was some actually pretty cool stuff that came out. I was glad to see it. Some good content showing our trans brothers and sisters out there working strong. I saw some pretty funny stuff with some last minute picks for POC trans like content creators to be in their in videos. But it got me going through more and more turf content and just remembering how much I really can't stand listening to them. And I found just a gem today. So I want everyone who anyone who's trans out there to know, yeah, you should be proud and be proud that you're trans, and you can call yourself a real woman or man, despite what Jenny Murray has to say. Now, it would help if I transition. Cut that out. Now, for those of you who don't know, Jenny Murray, I'll just go ahead and pull up a thing for you here because you may if you're an American, you probably don't know her because she's from Turf Island. She's been hosting a feminist like talk show on the news for 20, 30 years now, I think. Was yeah, Woman's Hour. There it is. But Jenny Murray has been a very, very like active feminist voice for a long time, and she's unfortunately one of the ones that we see that we saw kind of turn around into the full on with trans exclusionary radical feminism. Um, and this is actually one of the more gross ways to go about it. I personally feel like if you're gonna hate somebody just for their identity, at least own up to it. Own it. Like don't go, well, I support trans people and I think that they should be proud for being trans, but it's just ridiculous to have me call them a woman. Like you're just a bigot who doesn't want to show off your bigotry. And that's honestly more gross to me than a bigot who's just standing there being a bigot. Because at least he's not spray painting woke over him to like make himself look good.
One of the things that I've made very clear in this article is that I am not anti-trans, which I have no doubt I will be accused of being. What I have difficulties with is this concept that if you make the transition, you are a real woman or a real man. You are a trans woman or a trans man. I really wanted to bring some sanity and reason to a debate that's become bitter and often cruel.
I wonder if it's become bitter and cruel because the response to also the music's way too loud. I wonder if it's become bitter and cruel because the response to, hey, I'm a woman is no, you're not. You're a trans woman. How dare you call yourself a woman? Like, I wonder if it's that or if it's, I don't know. What did the British get angry about? Crumpets? Was it the crumpets, Jenny?
And dangerous, where people who question whether a man who has made the transition to become female can describe him herself as a real woman.
So that's the whole just asking questions meme thing there. Like, you can disguise your bigotry real well if you're just asking the bigoted question. You're right, Sam. They do get angry when food has flavor. Maybe like a trans woman put a little bit of like black pepper on her Yorkshire pudding. What do you people eat? Lost the plot here. We're losing the plot here. Well, like, oh God, I forgot what I was saying.
Herself as a real woman.
Oh, right. So it's like doing the whole just asking questions thing. Like, if your question is, well, are trans women real women? There's a chance that you're that you're coming at this in with an actual actual inquisitivity, like with a genuine want to know this. But the vast majority of the time, you're someone who asks, well, is a trans woman even a real woman, isn't asking out of curiosity. They're asking because what they're trying to affirm is no. It's the same thing as you going like, oh well, I mean, I'm not saying that this didn't happen, but what I'm saying is it just seems like this door's a little thin to have been to a furnace. It's the same stupid shit argument that like Nazis will use. That you do just hide behind what you actually want to say by just asking questions, bro.
I have interviewed a couple of men who have transitioned to female, and they have said that they were real women. The first one was a vicar. Now, he had become a vicar as a man in the days when a man's calling to the priesthood would never have been challenged. And he transitioned just a couple of years after the Church of England had finally agreed to enable women to be ordained as priests. And when
Okay, so a trans woman joined a profession that wouldn't allow her to transition for years and years, and then finally when she was allowed to, because they didn't allow women at all to be in there, and when women were finally allowed, she transitioned. Okay, makes sense. What's the awful bigoted shit you're about to say?
When I asked what was now her, what she owed to the women who for centuries had grappled with the church's attitude to women, where they had no examples to look up to apart from a virgin mother and a number of tortured saints, she said, oh, well, what I'm really worried about is whether I should wear a dress and makeup to meet my parishioners. And I really...
That is such an obvious lie. Who the fuck would believe you if you said that? What? Like, so you asked somebody, first of all, a real kind of off the wall, already aggressive question. So, what do you owe to the women who came before you, even though you can, since you transitioned? And the person responded with, I'm just wondering what I'm gonna wear when I meet my parishioners. You shut up. You're such a liar. Like, look, there's no empirical way I can prove that that's a lie. But come the fuck on. Are you kidding me? That's not how human beings talk to each other. Unless Jenny Murray was talking and all that dude, I'm still going on male parishioner because that's how she introduced him. How that parishioner responded, or vicar responded, was absolutely not how you're going to dress. Probably the vicar said something along the lines of oh, well, I don't really know exactly what I owe the women that came before me that made this possible in the church, but I'm pretty grateful. And, and then at some point, I'm willing to bet the vicar said they didn't know what they were going to wear to meet their parishioners. Yeah, where to meet their parishioners. Damn. I don't know. Maybe there's someone out there with information that can just blow me out of the water and be like, no, this is absolutely how that went down. But I'm pressing a big X for doubt on that.
Realised then that this person had no concept of sexual politics, had no understanding of what it meant to be that gender-conditioned girl growing into a woman. One of the most recent things that's begun to happen is the question of language. I was quite surprised to find that the BMA, the British Medical Association, in its booklet of advice to its employees...
The British what?
In its book to find that the BMA, the British Medical Association, in its booklet...
I think she's saying the British Medical Association? Hold on. This isn't me trying to make a joke or anything. I don't actually know what she said, and I want to know what BMA means. BMA... I'll type in British, because I know she said British Association. British. Yeah, British Medical Association. Okay. We're back in it.
Of advice to its employees had suggested that perhaps they should no longer refer to expectant mothers as expectant mothers, but as pregnant people, because they argued, quite rightly, that a female to male person who had made that transition could actually become pregnant as a male, because essentially their sex was still female, even though their gender had become male. Well, I think an awful lot of women, and I was one of them, who produced 2 sons and was an expectant mother and then a mother in the definition of the word that we all kind of accept. I was really a bit cross about that.
Wait, why were you a bit cross about it? Like, what? Yeah, you're right. She is using the scientific breakthrough background track. But why were you a bit cross about that? Like, so because you gave birth to sons, I think she said, you don't think as an expected mother, you don't think it's okay to change that to pregnant people because that made you give birth less? Your sons were unborn. Got it, right? That's what happened. No? Oh, I know what must have happened. A government agent came into your house and told you you're not allowed to tell you those kids you're their mom, right? No? Oh, so you're saying that the British Medical Association was just changing how medical nomenclature works so that it can be directly reflective of a patient chart, and your concern is literally just you not liking trans people? Got it. Got it.
No, nobody was going to call me a pregnant person. I was a pregnant woman. I was a pregnant potential mother. So,
Oh, okay, so by the way, women aren't people. Heard it from Jenny. Sorry. Heard it from Jen. I do not know how to do this reverse camera shit. Heard it from Jenny. Women, not people. Because if you say saying pregnant people is wrong, because it doesn't it doesn't describe her while she was pregnant, because she was a pregnant woman, then ergo women cannot be people.
that was one thing. And then the other thing that's been suggested, this craziness of changing language, is let's not talk about breast cancer or breastfeeding anymore. Let's call it chest feeding or chest cancer. Now we know that men can get breast cancer, but it's still called breast cancer. And I thought, hey, when I had breast cancer and somebody cut off one of my breasts, I was not going to have anybody refer to it as my chest.
How dare they call my chest my chest? I would have gone into that doctor's office and told them, no, I'm a strong woman and I'm having my breast cut off. And if you have any trans doctors back there, don't let them work. I mean, no, they're completely good people. I'm not a bigot. Like, come on. I don't know. I said at the start of this, and I honestly, very legitimately appreciate just an open bigot more than the whole TERF spin on things, where you're pretending that you're concerned about people, pretending that you care about trans women and trans men, pretending that you care about men and women in general, like outside of just your radical feminist push. It's I don't know. It absolutely disgusts me to hide that level of bigotry behind a spray painted woke coding. But hey, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps the channel grow a ton, and I do appreciate it. That being said, y'all have a good one. Oh boy. Yeah, that Press X to Doubt thing is from LA Noir. Sorry, it's a game where you play as like a detective in the I mean noir, it's like the 20s in LA. And while you're interviewing people, you either like press A for truth, Y for lie, or press X to doubt what they're saying. Uh, uh, oh man, what time is it? Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna go over HR. I might go over HR 5 in a different. I might stream midweek or something and go over it then, because like that's gonna be a long bit, and I had planned to do that like. So I might have to skip out on that one. I think I'm gonna end this one here out with a little bit of Candace Owens on Candace Owens' new show, Candace. Hmm. Oh no, I've recorded 2 videos already. This is gonna be the third video I'm recording right now. Okay. If you've been following my channel for a while, you probably know I got a bit of a beef going on with Ken. Well, it's a one-side beef. Candace Owens has no idea who I am. I hate every fiber of her being. Here we are. But you will also know that I have had a theory on not just why Candace Owens does what she does, but on what schedule she does what she does. Now, about every 2 months, Candace Owens will realize that her SEO isn't doing great anymore. She's going down a little bit in that ad rev, and she needs to do something to stir up the pot a little bit. Last time before this, it was Harry Styles in a dress. Now, fast forward up, and it's gonna be Cardi B going over WAP again. I think it was WAP again, right? I didn't even watch the VMAs, but something about WAP at the VMAs, and she's started right during that, rolled into starting up her show right at that 2 month mark. So her SEO is probably doing okay. I think we got about 2 to 3 weeks before she says something pretty racist or messed up again. But with all that being said, I'm talking about that because Candace Owens' new show, Candace, is out. And Michael Knowles is here to complain about how he's being canceled by the woke left for being, well, sorry, for what we say is just crazy bigotry. But, I mean, it couldn't possibly be that, right? I mean, it's the Daily Wire. Just the most gender affirming news outlet there is.
Cancel Corner. Look who's canceled now.
Welcome to the Cancel Corner, the place where we account for all the things that the left has unnecessarily condemned. The Dixie Chicks, Goya Beans, Land O'Lakes, but
Oh my god. Okay, so I forgot about this, guys. She literally has a cancel corner where it's all of the canceled products like, Goya beans and the Land O'Lakes butter lady. But also she doesn't put any of the like racist imagery or icons on there. I assume because she's worried about the companies like freaking out about it.
Dixie Chicks, Goya Beans, Land O'Lakes, butter,
But,
and many
like,
others have
legit-
been banned. And this week,
There's a Mr. Potato Head and stuff on there. It's so wild. Like, this is the most cucked thing I've ever seen. That's true. There are way more things that the right has canceled than the left has. And I would also like to point out that just all of these things that are on this shelf, including Michael Knowles, are available for purchase still.
Daily Wire's own Michael Knowles is being canceled by shaving razors. Yes, Really, Michael, welcome to the Cancel Corner. It did not take you long to get here.
It did not, Candace. I'm so honored to be here. I never thought I could rank
It didn't take you long to get here. It's almost like no one will come on my show, so all we have is people who are from the Daily Wire.
with the likes of Aunt Jemima or whoever else is here.
I just thought that of the Daily Wire guys, Ben would be here first.
Yeah, no.
And so you just won the race to being canceled.
You know why I'm here.
Yo, okay, hold on. That was low-key accurate shade she just threw, though. Like, absolutely, I would have thought it would have been, like, no, Michael Knowles is a pretty big, like, just open racist. But, like, Ben, fucking Palestinians live in mud huts and sewage, Shapiro. Yeah, I thought he would have been up here first in the canceled corner.
I'm here.
Why are you here?
You are why I'm
I
here.
did no
You
such thing.
got me canceled.
Now, we're going to recap the story for the audience, but I do want to say I got so many social media comments about the Cancel Corner jingle. And I'm here ready to tell the world that the actual artists are Daily Wire's own Michael Knowles and Jeremy Boring are the people that sing the Cancel Corner jingle.
I don't think I've ever seen a Christmas card that hates black people as much as this.
Also, where you can get one of these awesome shirts. Another question I got asked a lot was, where do I get this shirt? CancelCandace.com, because we own it, and we knew we were going to get canceled, but we did not know Michael Knowles was going to get canceled. Here is what happened. So he was on a show 1 year ago, over a year ago, I should add, of a very well-known hate monger. Let's watch the clip.
If you have a mental disorder, that's fine. You know, I don't need to come up to you and tell you that I think you have a mental disorder. That would be rude.
Right.
But when you have a mental disorder and you're now requiring that I have a mental disorder, right, to meet your mental disorder, that doesn't work for me. Which is to say that if somebody was walking around as a schizophrenic and saying that they were Superman and then telling me that I was required to treat them like Superman, I wouldn't play the game. Mm-hmm. That's how I feel about
Right. Okay, I didn't figure that this was what Michael Knowles was getting canceled for, because this was like a year and some change ago. Like, I mean, people on the left gave him tons of shit for at the time. But yeah, this is a whole segment on Candace Owens' show where she and Michael Knowles compare being trans to being schizophrenic and asking people to call you, like, a purple monster and stuff like that. It's honestly just grade A transphobia.
trans. I think the slope is so slippery, and they find that to be bigotry. No, I'm not going to call you she. I'm not going to call you her just because you're a grown man and you're wearing a wig and a dress. That's literally telling me that I am now required to have a mental disorder because you have one.
I try to do it in public where.
Also, no one is requiring any, like, they did this whole big thing with the Canadian trans bill that got Jordan Peterson's, like, name on the map, where it's compelled speech. They're gonna force us to, we're all gonna go to jail if I misgender somebody on the street. And that's literally something that's never happened. It's not going to happen. Like, no one's forcing you in the first place. Now, there will be social consequences where if you're going around and just misgendering people and generally being an asshole to people around you, they're probably not going to want to talk, hang out, or do business with you. That's for sure. But that also goes for, let's say, like, just you and me are walking, like, I don't know who this guy is. I'm walking up to him, and I'm like, hey, what up, dude? And he's like, hey, my name's Charles. And I go, fuck you, Charles. Your name is Chris. I'm being an asshole. Like, now let's move that to, like, moving it over to pronouns. Like, I mean, if you try to go from a medicalist standpoint, like, biology has nothing to do with gender, so that doesn't really play into the whole you going with a mental disorder thing. Like, there's no justification but behind you being an asshole. It's just you don't want to go out of your way, not even really out of your way. You don't want to take an iota of anything from yourself to make somebody's day better at all. Like, that's all it is these are assholes complaining that they're not allowed to be assholes anymore.
I will not use the fake pronoun. So now it's so confusing because if there's a man who thinks he's a
Wait,
woman,
did you just say in public I will not use your pronouns? Does that mean like in private I'll use your pronouns, but in public I'm going to make a big show about how I will not use your chosen pronouns? I'm going to stick with what you were assigned at birth? Because that's way worse. That's literally performative at that point. Like, hold on.
do it in public where I will not use the fake pronoun. So now it's so confusing because if there's a man who thinks he's a woman and you refer to him as a man, what the culture tells you is you're misgendering him.
Right.
The only people misgendering anybody are the ones pretending the man is a woman.
That's correct.
So I refuse to refer to the man as she. However, in an interpersonal, if we were at a dinner party or something, I will use whatever language he wants me to use to refer to him, in the same way that if there were a schizophrenic at a dinner party, I would indulge the delusion that there were voices speaking.
Okay, so two things. One, at a dinner party, like, so in private you'll use that's actually what I said. In private you'll use someone's pronouns, but in public you'll go out to virtue signal and specifically make them uncomfortable to do your virtue signaling. Like, there's no reason for you to change it up in private if that's what you really believe. And the second point there, like that whole, if I was at a dinner party with the schizophrenic, I'd entertain that there's voices talking around. What? I'm sorry, what? That's not that's not how interacting with schizophrenics works, my friend. You shouldn't just play into delusions that schizophrenics are having at your dinner party. Like, don't sit there and go, yeah, you fucking idiot, there's no voices. But maybe maybe don't play into it. Like, I mean, that's an entirely aside there. That was just an ending to a sentence that he could use to make his little shitty point he wanted. Like, that's obviously not something that he would actually do or believe. First of all, he's not hanging out with anybody with any mental disability. He wants him in the gas chamber.
I'm offended just hearing myself. That's so outrageous.
I have to say, here's a lot of remarkable things going on here, but essentially fast forward maybe a year and a half later, and a woke high schooler sees it on Twitter, and this person's super woke, and they are going to message one of your advertisers on the Michael No Show. I should say that past tense, one of your used to be advertisers on the Michael No Show. And here is what this high schooler tweeted. Michael, please do me the honor of reading this tweet in whatever voice you'd like to give this kid.
Okay, all right.
In whatever voice you'd like to give this kid. Like, are you kidding me? Seriously. She was just like, yeah, read off this tweet that got your advertiser pulled in just whatever weird fucked up voice you want to, guy. I'm honestly a little worried about what it's going to be. Like, is he going to do the whole, like, excuse me thing? Or, like, is he going to have a little bit of class here? Let's see.
I know, the account said he's a high school kid. It could be.
Could be.
Also could just be, like, one of these left-wing operatives with 0 followers.
Yeah.
So here is what either
Left-wing
a high school kid
operatives.
or some leftist goon wrote.
Yes, the leftist goons going around and going and fucking like messaging Michael Knowles advertisers about old shit he did. But of course they created a burner account to do that and didn't use their normal main account. They decided they needed to make a burner account where they pretended to be a teenager to do so, you see. Because this is a clandestine operation.
Harry's is sponsoring Michael Knowles. The same Michael Knowles who is spreading homophobic and transphobic content.
He
Absolutely,
had
yes,
Joseph
for sure.
Nicolosi Jr. as a guest on his show and equates being trans to having schizophrenia because he learned that from his friend Candace Owens. No, I just added that. It is wrong that Harry's or anyone sponsors this vile content.
This guy's got literally 2 followers, so you are correct.
All
It
right,
could be
so
a...
I'll give him this on, at least Michael Knowles didn't just go and like take the bait on, yeah, say it in whatever voice you want. At least he played it with a little bit of class there.
deep state operative. It could be AOC. I don't know who it is. But
That's her Pierre Delecto account.
Harry sees this random tweet and they reply, and I will now be a virtue signaling social media intern at Harry's. This is the tweet that Harry's wrote back. Thank you for bringing this up. We condemn the views in this video.
Hold on, virtue signaling. Like, literally, you just played a clip where the guy sitting in front of you said that he would, in public, not use somebody's pronouns, but he'd do so in private. Like, that's an absolute like, that means that he agrees with using someone's, like, pronouns that they choose, but wants to signal his virtues when he's in public.
Which are inexcusable and at odds with our longtime support of the LGBTQ plus community. We've ended our relationship with the show and are looking into our sponsorships to prevent any values misalignment going forward. And that was the most virtue signaling that could possibly fit in to 220.
I'm sorry, what's the so, like, sure, they're saying it's not in line with our support of the LGBTQ plus community. Like, I guess you could say that's virtue like, it's signaling what your standards are, sure. But, like, the most you can virtue signal in 240 characters. Come on, okay. It's giving you the reason that this guy got dropped.
Characters, or however much Twitter gives you. So I'm going to tell you 3 things that I absolutely love about them canceling you. Harry's did, in fact, pull out. The first thing is that it was actually something I said on a different network. It came out of my mouth. I didn't get canceled for it. The other network didn't get canceled for it, but somehow Michael Knowles gets canceled for it.
Hold on. First of all, not a different network. Both of you idiots are on Daily Wire. Second of all, are you or Daily Wire in itself sponsored by Harry's Razors? Because if you are, then sure, that seems a little bit hypocritical. But I'm willing to bet you aren't. And I'm willing to bet that not many advertisers that aren't right-wing and already agree with your perspective are willing to advertise Candace Owens, the person that got brought in front of a Senate committee on racially involved shootings and racism in America, and then was quoting, or sorry, not quoting, but saying that Hitler went wrong by invading other countries. Like, I'm willing to bet that Harry's wasn't already down with you.
And I like that because that's like cancel without borders, because it's like doctors without borders, but it's canceling. There's no borders now.
Yeah,
Doesn't
that's
matter.
right. That's
You're
right.
at fault and you have got to go. And I also love that it's being orchestrated by an unknown person that has 2 followers.
Yes. Well, you see.
Being orchestrated. Literally, a Twitter account just went and tweeted at Harry's and said, hey, it's pretty fucked up that you have people that say these kind of things and you're sponsoring them. And they went, oh, we didn't know that. Okay, cool, thank you. We didn't know that. We'll going forward, we'll make sure that won't happen. Thanks. Like,
See this practical effect, which is they
it's a deep state operative making this big clandestine mission to take Michael Knowles down.
respond to this silly, doesn't seem like a totally real account. It's not
Could be
someone's real
Harry's.
name. It could be Harry's, but yeah, it could be one of these left-wing groups. And so they put it out and they say, yes, this is vile, awful content. So what did we say there? I'm not only going to defend me, I'm going to defend you. We said that if you're a man and you think that you're a woman, something has gone wrong with your perception. because you're not, right? You can. I got two eyes.
No, you equate it to schizophrenia. And first of all, nothing's gone wrong with your perception. But, like, that's taking gender at a biological level, which just isn't how gender works, it's how sex works. And, let's just
You
go.
can
This
look at
video's
the person and
RC
realize that's not the case. If you do not indulge that delusion now, if you do not accept the premise that the left is putting forward, that the truth is cruel and that lies are compassionate, if you hold any mainstream view that men are not women, you are vile, you're inexcusable, you should be canceled. And so
so if you hold a mainstream view, which by the way he's complaining right now because the view that he has isn't mainstream, and that's why it has a social like ramification to saying it. But if you have this view that that trans women are actually men, people just suddenly call you bigots. It's crazy out here. People just say anybody's a bigot now. I mean, I can't even go out there and just say that I think that woman's a man. Come on.
we get criticism. If anyone who does anything in public gets criticism, that doesn't bother me. If some advertiser wants to cancel his campaign because he doesn't like something I said, or because we're not selling enough of his product, or because he doesn't like the cut of my jib, that's totally fine. I actually have no problem with that.
I have no problem with that. That's why I'm currently on your show talking about it for what has now been 6 minutes. That's why we're playing a clip of it, and that's why I've been bitching about it on Twitter for the last few days.
Plenty of people who want to advertise on the show, they can come on in their place.
But it's the virtue signaling.
It's the virtue signal, and it's if you come after the views of not just me, but the views of my audience, if you call my...
I'm sorry, come after the views of your audience. Let's go back to this tweet, and hold on, I'll let him finish his point and see if he has anything to say. But I didn't see anything about them talking about the views of Michael Knowles' audience there. Just that they do not agree with what he said, it doesn't align with the company's values, and that they'll be terminating going forward.
My listeners, vile, inexcusable, condemnable.
No, they
now
called
we're in a
you
different
vile
situation.
and inexcusable.
Now we've got to talk about it. And I think Harry's makes a good product. I mean, there are other razor companies out there. It's kind of tough in the razor game.
He doesn't have a point. Let's go look back at the tweet. Look back at the tweet. And find the tweet. There it is. Thanks for bringing this up. We condemn the views in this video, which are inexcusable and at odds with our longtime support of the LGBTQ plus community. We've ended our relationship with this show and are looking into our sponsorships to prevent any values misalignment going forward. Interesting that there was never anything that had to do with his audience being vile, or even him specifically being vile or inexcusable. Specifically, the views put down in that video. Like, they specified it for you. Nice virtue signal, bro.
They are pushing political correctness and leftist big tech into me, saying that they're canceling their product because of what. And you know, there's another point on this too, which is no one canceled Harry's because they sponsored.
We are saying, you know what, Harry's, it is fine, you can leave. On that level as well.
Chest feed, that's something.
Breastfeed, do all these things that make women.
Oh God, I have to go further back.
Good products. If they make an okay product, I like it. Other people make good products. If Harry's Razors doesn't want the business of conservatives, I think conservatives absolutely should oblige them.
I absolutely agree with you.
Yes,
we'll also
absolutely. Please do. Like, go ahead. We'll go ahead and lose the tiny customer base that are going to be upset that Michael Knowles was mean. Not even actually was mean. Had someone be mean to them on Twitter, but was just had an advertiser pulled. Like, go ahead and fucking lose the 200 dipshits that would be worried about that. And you know what? Hey, if anyone here is worried about Harry's Razors pulling their sponsorship from Michael Knowles, I'll say it here: unsubscribe from my channel. Get the fuck out. No one wants you here. Like, absolutely get your right wing asses out of everything. No one wants you.
Actually now view as a form of misogyny when corporations are coming out and pretending that there are not real differences between men and women, that you and I are exactly the same. I just had a child. I just held a baby for 9 months. I have to, breastfeed, do all these things that make women chest feed.
That's something. Yeah, all right, that's right.
So it's insulting on that level as well. And so I'm so glad that we are saying, you know what, Harry's, it is fine, you can leave, but you are correct. We honor our viewers.
It's insulting on that level of misogyny. It's misogynistic to say that women can transition to be men, or men can transition to be women, because it's just like based on appearances, right? Like, it's such a brain dead nonsense argument, and I'm just amazed every time when I sit there and I'll watch it and go like, okay, well, these people can't have any fans, right? And then there's people just clapping along like happy seals. Like, is Candace Owens' fan base actually this dumb? Is Michael Knowles' fan base actually this dumb? Or are they just happy to hear somebody affirming their bigotry?
And to say that our viewers are vile and disgusting is, in my opinion, vile and disgusting.
No, I will say that your viewers are very stupid, though.
Of Harry's.
And there's another point on this too, which is no one canceled Harry's because they sponsored my show. They started sponsoring my show after I was on your show years ago. No one stopped. Thousands of people have written into me saying that they were canceling their product because of what Harry's said about conservative Americans. But this also shows you something.
Literally, Harry's didn't say anything about conservative Americans or you, even. It was literally one episode of the Candace Owens show. And yeah, no one was canceling Harry's Razors for sponsoring you. Like, someone did say, hey, it's fucked up that you're sponsoring this dude who does real harm. And they looked at you and said, huh, you know what? Wow, I didn't know that that's the kind of stuff this dude does and says. I don't think that we should align with this company. Like, I don't think we should align with fucking Michael Knowles. This was absolutely you being dropped because the company doesn't like you and what you say. Like, this has nothing to do with the woke mob or the Twitter lefties coming to get you in your business. This is just a direct action of your reprehensible, actions. Deal with it. This is accountability culture, my friend.
I think for conservatives now, which is, we always talk about big government. Big government's destroying America, and sure, big government's very bad. Big business, big corporate, big tech, big university, all of these big institutions, they are pushing wokeism. They are pushing political correctness and leftism. And I'm not going to carry water for companies like Harry's that are trying to overturn, not just overturn our culture, but try to silence half of the country, and actually half the country that happens to have the issue correct. I'm not going to carry water for them. I don't think conservatives should do that anymore either.
I totally.
What do you mean you're going to carry water for them? They were sponsoring you. They were giving you money to advertise their shit, bro. Like, you weren't doing them a favor. This is the whole, I didn't even want to date you anyway. I'm a strong, independent content creator that don't need no sponsor. It's honestly really pathetic. I don't know how people, especially people who go on the whole big alpha kick thing, can watch dudes like Michael Knowles be sniveling and pathetic and then still talk about how they're, big-brained alpha creators.
I agree. And I will say this, maybe my favorite part of this entire thing is the fact that Harry's only sells razors for men and women. 2 genders, we win.
Yeah, they kind of admit
that's not even true. What? I buy my razors from Harry's. They sell Sure, they do sell men and women's razors because a non-binary razor wouldn't be a thing. They also sell head razors and leg razors, and like I think there was one that's like specifically for detailing and stuff like that. I have the one that has the detailing blade on the top of it that's real nice. I like to use. Like, I get that that was an attempt at a joke, but for things to be funny, there needs to be some original like truth, some original conceit like of truth there, some morsel to play off of. And unfortunately, there's just nothing to hit on there.
This, right? You know, because you can, this anonymous account that I don't know who's behind it, but it might be more organized than people think. You can't cancel someone who's anonymous.
Right.
You can cancel people who go out there and say what they think. And that is how the left tries to suppress speech here.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go ahead and say what I think out loud. Hey, everyone who wants to watch a bad video but will tell you exactly what Candace Owens is, check out my first video on this channel called Candace Owens is a Race Traitor and a Grifter.
We should try to get back to a country. The late philosopher Roger Scruton at this point, he said civilization requires confession and forgiveness. You should be able to confess when you do something wrong, if you do something wrong. I don't think I did anything wrong here. But you should be able to confess that and sacrifice your pride. And then the other guy, the rest of society, should be able to forgive you and sacrifice their resentment. And we both sacrifice something that's important to us, and we move forward as a society. But we don't live in that culture anymore. We don't live in a culture where forgiveness is possible. We live in a culture where the mob is just trying to destroy you, to consume you all the time. And so Harry's...
Yes, the mob of the one tweet from someone with 2 followers came to destroy you. There was one tweet that Harry's responded to. It only took one, but it was a mob, though. Okay, like, once again, sniveling and pathetic. This is the face of an absolutely weak-willed man who is on the ropes and I'm not feeling great because he lost his sponsor and now wants to go out and show everyone how much he didn't actually care about the sponsor in the
is much more afraid of that mob. Maybe they lose thousands of conservatives. They don't care. It is that force of censorious leftism that ultimately they're very afraid of. And unfortunately, the more we permit that to go on, the more figures are going to fill up your cabinet.
We're not going to have much room on the shelf.
Right.
Which brings me to
Dude,
the...
her Mr. Potato Head is terrifying. Hold on.
Figures are going to fill up your...
Look at this. This Mr. Potato Head is absolutely terrifying. Oh, and don't forget Dr. Seuss too. But yeah, like, what is that? Just buy a real Mr. Potato Head.
We're not going to have much room on the shelf.
Right.
Which brings me to the moral of this cancel, aside from the fact that there are only 2 genders, and even Harry knows it. It really is a story about corporations, and I have so many people working at corporations who say, I disagree what's happening. I'm afraid to speak out. You know, wokeism is bigger than the corporation itself, and we don't know what to do. You are the corporations. Fire these woke employees. All of these employees storming into the offices of CEOs.
Cancel culture's bad though, right? Corporations, fire all these people whose political opinion you do not agree with. Just fire swaths of people because they're too woke for you, you see. And that will truly stop the cancel culture.
What are we even talking about? And if you're fearful that the left is going to come after you and that they're going to cancel you and tell you that you should be boycotted, your product should be boycotted, let me remind you of something. The left has a very short memory. Really, it is like Dory from Finding Nemo. They want to cancel you one day, and the next day they completely forgot because there's something else that they have to cancel. So stand by your figurative guns, stand up and be heard, and stomp out this wokeism that is so cancerous to American culture.
So I love the juxtaposition there too. So just in case you missed it, what isn't cancel culture is what is cancel culture is an advertiser pulling their advertisement after one person with 2 followers tweets them and shows them a video that the person that Michael Knowles was in. And they decide that, hey, this isn't the type of content that I want my brand associated with. And pulled it. That is cancel culture, according to Candace Owens and Michael Knowles. What isn't cancel culture, though, is the person running a business just going down a list of people whose political opinions he doesn't agree with and just firing them for it. Like, oh, you think that you think the trans women should be called women? Fired. You believe that there should be a marginally higher tax rate? Get out of here, wokey. Like, that's not cancel culture. Potato heads? Cancel culture. Firing people and taking away their means to eat because you disagree with their political opinion? Not cancel culture. Just to make it clear for you. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. It does help the channel grow a ton, and I really, really do appreciate it. With that being said, I hope you all have yourselves a wonderful day. I feel like I'm getting a brain aneurysm every time I listen to Candace Owens talk. Like, just without fail. It's honestly impressive. Like, it honestly really is impressive. Oh, let's see. I feel like I want to do one more segment, but I don't know what. I have a little playlist here of things. Oh, God. You want to watch a quartering video? I don't. But we might need to. Actually, let's go on a duo adventure right now. Nope, not my channel dashboard. That's not what I want to show you. Please don't show you that. There we go. Okay, let's go on a little adventure here. Let's check out the Quartering's channel, see what he's posted today. Quarter Pounder here has anything to react to that's new, I'll do that. If not, there's one video on Midwestly about vaccine passports. This is embarrassing, not clickbait. Is this a video of the time he peed in that cabinet in his basement and his wife had to clean it up? Huge trouble for OnlyFans. Really? Days ago? He was down. What? Did he get suspended or something? Whoa. I didn't know that. Like, there's no way. Because, hold on. If you go back here, like, here we go, 5 days ago, he posts, like, 6 videos a day. And then all of a sudden, it stops at the 2 days ago mark. He made these 2 videos, stopped, and then just came back with a Charles Barkley video. I wonder what happened. Hold on. Ordering suspended. Yep, idiot was suspended. Oh, wait, I was suspended from Twitch. Oh, boy. It's from so long ago. That's from 2018. Why did I even... Okay, whatever. We'll go... Since there's nothing new, then we'll go into Midwestly. Hold on. You're not allowed to see this. You're not allowed to see the hidden content coffers.
Raise your hand if you've...
I'm just checking out Gothics real quick. See, I haven't done a Gothics video yet, have I? Oh shit, she did an in defense of Candace Owens. Okay. I'll do this later. I'll do that later. We'll do Mid Leslie now and then end it out on that, and then I want to go eat.
Now that I'm thinking back.
Okay. Alright, well, let's start up on this here. If you've been living outside of a cave, you probably know that there's a pretty wild thing going around right now. There's some pretty bad stuff keeping us inside. A little bit of a cough, a little bit of a corona, you know, a little bit of virus there. It's some say it's been around. And we are now coming towards a point where now I'm not personally vaccinated yet, but I am like a day or two away from my state opening it up for my group to be able to be vaccinated. And we're coming to a point where a large majority of people are going to be vaccinated. And we're going to start reopening businesses, which is great. I mean, I'm down with getting everything back to normal. That's great. Well, the normal wasn't great for us before, but at least better than what's happening right now. Um, but there have been some concerns raised from people about how we would do that and guarantee that everyone is still actually vaccinated. Because unfortunately, people do have a kind of propensity for lying about this kind of thing. Like, so vaccine passports have become a real talking point. Whether it be something digital, something physical that you be given that can be scanned, something needs to be done to prove that you're able to be vaccinated to go into sporting events and, you know, other big gatherings of people that are inside to make sure you're not spreading the virus around to people. That has made conservatives go absolutely insane, with some people calling it the mark of the beast, some people screaming that it's just like it's 1984. Oh, it's coming! They're coming for you, the thought police. Even though vaccine passports have nothing to do with 1984. And one of the big dumb boys here, the quartering, is one of those people. So I figured we'll go ahead and check that out. See what Big Dumb Boy has to say.
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from Midwestly. Now that I'm thinking back, I wonder if I said the quartering on the first video today. It's been a while. Give me a break. And I thought...
I wonder, hold on. Let's see when this... Because we just saw that he was suspended for a little bit on YouTube and wasn't posting. Did this video come up in that time period? Is this when he started? Yeah, 2 days ago. When he started posting on this channel, literally the second he was like going off on the other channel. Coincidence.
I thought I would cover this a video that surely will be loved by YouTube about this new passport that you're going to have to get in places. New York has launched their creepily named Excelsior Pass, which is an...
Also, I would like to point out, even besides because people go with like passports, they think traveling the country. So of course people have gone like, well, yeah, you need vaccines to travel the country anyway. Like, why would, vaccine passports not that big of a deal for going into the businesses? Well, it's not a big deal. I can definitely admit it's very different traveling country to country than Denny's to car. But a counterpoint to that is normal IDs. Like, I have to show my driver's license to get into plenty of places in the US already. And that is a 1-to-1 with a vaccine passport. Like those pretty much the same thing, except my driver's license says I can drive, or I'm what age I am and I can drive instead of I have my vaccine. Like, so if you want to say that this is an erosion of civil liberties, then requiring like driver's licenses to get into like anywhere, and I'm not talking about like medical care or voting or getting food or something. I'm talking about going to a basketball game or something like that. Then you also have to accept that driver's licenses would also be considered an infringement if you think the vaccine passports are.
App that you now have to show if you want to get into venues like stadiums, arenas, or wedding receptions. I just want to, before I get into all this coverage, this is for Susan. I am not saying that people shouldn't take care of themselves and do what they want to do. This is not a question on whether or not, effectiveness.
So when you start out any sentence with, well, this is for Susan or this is for YouTube, it makes it pretty clear that these aren't things that you actually believe. So you might as well just be saying them without the starter point. It's not going to save your fucking channel from getting nuked if YouTube decides to nuke it.
Or anything like that. This is just a commentary on
Ask your friend Salty
draconian
Cracker.
1984 style social credit system that people are so willing to bend the knee to. It is actually frightening what 1 year in lockdown will do to a human's will and a human's psyche, that they would think that this is okay. 1 year ago, we found out that China had this social credit system, right? That
What the hell does it have to do with a social credit system? A vaccine passport would just let people know if you're vaccinated or not, bro. Like, I love how these right-wing chuds will just start going, China, Russia, China and Russia, whenever they don't have any argument to actually say.
monitored all of your activities in it, how much time you spent online, and you had a literal social credit score. And we all were aghast at how insane that was. Now people are willingly giving up their personal liberties, violating their own HIPAA law protections, just so they can get a donut from Krispy Kreme. It's absolutely insane.
Sorry, violating their own HIPAA law protections. That's literally not... If you understand what HIPAA means, then you know that you can't violate your own HIPAA protections because you're choosing to give the information to a set of people. Like, what the fuck? It's just pretty code word, or not even code words, pretty keywords that these idiots have heard said around, and then just go, medical legal say HIPAA.
And
medical information HIPAA.
In my opinion, the direct result of people being locked down and the psychological weakening that's happened to the American people. They sit inside and now they're willing to do literally anything just to go consume. I will give you whatever medical information you need, corporation, giant super huge corporation, as long as I can go consume this NBA basketball game that sends half their money over to China. It's absolutely insane that people aren't marching in the streets against this.
It's insane that people aren't marching in the streets against this. No one would be, like, why would people march in the streets against you needing to show some kind of fucking verification to go to a basketball game? This isn't this isn't like to get food. This isn't to go and like vote. This isn't to go to a court case or something. This isn't like something that's actually vital or actually matters. This is you being mad because you're a right-wing chud that doesn't want to get a vaccine, and now you can't go to your basketball games anymore.
Here it's passing. People in New York are just okay with it. And by the way, where are all the progressive politicians who told me that voter ID is racist? This is even more insane because, first of all, you have...
This is more insane than requiring... and requiring voter ID laws. Oh my god, you're so fucking stupid. Like, voter ID and showing a vaccination verification to go to a basketball game are in different realms entirely. One is literally how you affect democracy, one's a basketball game. One is proof of a vaccination that's free. And one is something that costs you time and money to go, the actual money you have to pay to do it. That's what that's what made it racist, is people in like lower income areas, which happen to be black in the states that those laws were trying to be passed in, would be affected most heavily because they couldn't afford a license. A vaccine's free. It's not costing you anything.
You have to have a legal identification to get the vax. And then now they want you to carry a smartphone or a printed sheet.
No, you don't. What? No, you literally don't. That's just a blatant lie that expects you not to Google. You don't need to have a set of identification on you to go and get vaccinated. Like, that's just not true. They'll ask you to fill out your your social and stuff to or actually they probably won't even do that because you aren't even running it through insurance or anything. Like, but I know for certain that you don't need your ID because my family members that I am currently with left their IDs home when they went and got vaccinated. And turns out they still got vaccinated.
Sheet of paper that proves that. So if voter ID is racist, then a vax pass is absolutely racist.
He was about to say double racist.
But yet not a single progressive politician or even a left-leaning or even a middle-leaning Democrat seems to have any problem with forcing the American people to carry around their papers. It's literally like Germany, like papers, please, papers, please. And it's like people are okay with.
What do you think those papers identified in Germany during that time, Jeremy? What do you think that was about? Do you think it was about vaccinations?
It's like, yeah, but I get a free donut. Or yeah, I can go watch the local sports team now. This is insane. And if you think that this is okay, I really want you to, if you're watching this video and you're thinking like, it's really not that big of a deal. Okay, I'm not here to like berate you, but I just want you to just pause the video and like take 30 seconds to rethink your life and to think about how you have gone now, how your personal liberties have been so eroded that you're outside wearing, you're quad masking when you're outside, you're 6 foot social distancing, your kids aren't going to school, and now you're totally.
Your liberties are so eroded that you're wearing masks when you go outside and standing away from people. And you're gonna let them make a passport. Like, it's such fucking baby whining, dude. Literally just say you don't want to get a vaccine, but you also want to go watch the Mavericks play, and that has upset you. Like, because that's all this is.
Happy to carry around your cell phone or a piece of paper to allow you access into to live like a normal human being. If you think that that's okay, please just rethink your life in basically every aspect.
Yeah, rethought it.
Insanity. And
I'm pretty sure it's okay. But Jeremy, here's one thing. If you're, I don't know, the type of person who gets super sad and drunk on stream and then begs people to donate to him and sub to him even though they never will, and then pees in a cabinet and has your wife have to clean it up the next morning, maybe you should take 30 seconds to reevaluate your life. Really, all of it. And think about where you are.
Is only the governor of Florida, DeSantis, the only dude with half a stone to come out and speak against this. Yesterday he wrote,
If here's a good line too. if Governor DeSantis is supporting you, like if he's supporting whatever you're saying, whatever you just said is super dumb. Like this man, especially when it comes to COVID, this man has not made a good call once in the last 12 months. And way longer before that, let's be honest. But for real, he hasn't made a good call once in the last 12 months. Like, maybe don't be like, well, how is it only Governor DeSantis that wants to come out against this? Maybe think, wow, only Governor DeSantis is against these vaccine passports? Maybe I'm in the wrong.
Or he said in a speech, we always wanted to provide it, talking about the vax, but we wanted to provide it for all, but mandate it for none. DeSantis said in Tallahassee. And that was something that, while it was advised to take, particularly if you're vulnerable, we are not going to force you to do it. It's completely unacceptable for either the government or private sector to impose upon the requirement that you show proof of vaccine just to participate in normal society. He continued saying, you're going to do this and what? Give all your information to some big corporation? The governor said, you want the fox to guard the hen.
I'm sorry. Give all of your information to some big corporation, like Google or Amazon, who literally already own all of your information. But on a separate note, that you've been vaccinated. That's what you can get from these passes, is that this is a valid vaccination. That's literally it. So what's the information that you're fear-mongering that people are going to be selling over to these big businesses just so they can go watch a football game? Like, you're not really giving anything up. Once again, you're just upset because you never thought that there would be a way for people to verify that you are a piece of shit that doesn't care about other people and refuse to get the vaccine.
The hen house.
Like, you thought when this was all over that absolutely what you were going to do is walk back out your door and not have to change a single fucking thing about your life. You would stay without the vaccine, and when people asked you about it, you just go, oh yeah, sure, yeah, whatever, and then keep on going along. Now you're upset because reality's hitting you, and if you want to go out and if you want to enjoy the other things that people are enjoying, you have to be just as responsible as they are.
Give me a break. This is why this dude is rocketing up people's, like, the betting odds for who the Republicans are going to try to run in 2024.
No, he's rocketing up because he's very obviously, like, placing himself up for a run. Like, whatever.
This says, we view this as something that the private sector is doing and will do, he said, noting that the government plans to ensure equitable access to the privacy of these programs. Well, what about all the people out there that don't trust the system? First of all, if you want to get serious about it, you think that people in the inner city are going to be carrying around their smartphones with their mobile pass app on it to get into the grocery store?
Do you think people in the inner city will have their phone with them? Is the sentence that he just said as an actual argument, which wouldn't even work as an argument because this can be done with a paper pass as well. But, like, disregarding that, is your argument really going to be these poor inner city folks just don't ever have their phone on them when they go to the grocery store?
This is absolute insanity, and don't let anyone gaslight you into thinking that it's fear-mongering. It is absurd. You can
they're gonna say I'm fear-mongering. What do I do? Let's say that it's gaslighting to say that it's fear-mongering. Big brain moment, Jeremy. Like, no one's gaslighting you. It's just super obvious that you're fear-mongering right now. Like, even if it wasn't Jeremy, the super verifiable, doesn't believe in anything, fucking corrupt, like, husk of a human being that is the quartering. If it was literally anybody else saying these same things, it would sound like you're just upset that you are now getting caught out for not wanting to get the vaccine. That's it. No, once again, no one's stopping you from voting. No one's stopping you from getting food. No one's stopping you from like getting your water or your utilities or going and interacting with a government office or something. You just can't go into private sector businesses and be unvaccinated sitting shoulder to shoulder in a stadium. Like,
You could see all these articles, don't believe
such a
conservative
joke.
fear-mongering over passports. I saw a lot of people on Twitter saying, why are you you're overreacting. You have to do this kind of thing anytime you visit a foreign country and do this or that. You have to prove that you have, like a malaria shot or something like that. If you're going to certain countries, okay, that's fine. If I'm going to some foreign country, but within my own borders.
I also love that he is more okay with a government putting restrictions over travel than a government putting, or not even a government. He's more okay with the government putting restrictions over travel than the guys who own a stadium putting restrictions over who are allowed to come into the stadium. Like, definitely, he's. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with either. I think that you should be able to do vaccination checks at like board if we're gonna have borders at borders and things like that. Like that's something that's absolutely fine. If there's something like that's more prevalent in this country than this country, and you want to make sure that hasn't come through, get it. I got that. Makes sense. But like, if you're gonna be taking the no position, you have to take no on both, or just be the biggest hypocrite. Or sorry, you either have to take the no position on no, I shouldn't have to be checked on both of these, like going through countries and coming through the front door of a stadium, or you can just be like, no, I don't think I should be checked coming through country. Yeah, you know what? No, you have to be on both. Now I think about it and like actually sat down and think about it. You have to be for both, or it doesn't make any fucking sense.
This is absolute insanity. The idea, and look, I hope the private sector enforces it. By the way, because it will absolutely crush businesses. And you know
yes.
What? Honestly, you're
the
going to see
vaccines. The
like
majority
Walmart
of people are
and
going to get them requiring people to do it or have a vaccine is going to crush these businesses. That's definitely what's going to happen. Not all of these like virtue signaling, do nothing, care for nothing conservatives are going to go and get vaccinated because they need to go and do it to be able to go and see their movies or whatever. That's not what's going to happen. What's going to happen is the private sector of capitalists is going to fall apart because Jeremy didn't want to get his fucking vaccination.
Probably enforcing the stuff, but Main Street probably won't. And hopefully you'll see a flood of new customers not willing to give up their personal liberties to go buy TP from Walmart and shopping locally. The idea that
people were literally fighting each other for toilet paper at the start of this pandemic at Walmart. They're not going to stop going to Walmart for the toilet paper because they need a vaccination. There's no way that this, like, he actually thinks that either, right? Like, this has to be just full on, like, virtue signal coke posting.
I would ever, and by the way, I've been a partial season ticket holder for the Milwaukee Bucks many years until last year over the Hong Kong stuff, and I've attended many sporting events and would continue to do so. But the idea that I would have to violate my personal liberties to attend is an absolute no-go from me. And look, that's fine.
No.
They can live without my money. But if you think that I'm the only one that's going to refuse to...
And no, I don't think you're the only one, Jeremy. But absolutely, there's just not enough people out there who are such unreasonable pieces of shit that they think that getting the vaccine is some erosion on their liberties and that they're never going to shop with Walmart again because they had to get a vaccine. Like, yeah, I'd bet everything I own that the companies won't even see a downtick in their sales.
To do that, to get into a sporting event, you're crazy. You're talking about tens of thousands of people that will never attend these things ever again, and rightfully so. So if you want to, as a private business, require these things, more power to you, because all it's going to do is weaken these authoritarian extended arms of the government. If you don't think
Extended arms of the government. Imagine thinking that the government rules over corporations, and it's not the corporations that are making policy and ruling over the government. Like, what a fucking tool, dude. The extended arm, the corporate extended arm of the government. The government's an extended arm of corporations.
Amazon benefited wildly from lockdowns, or Disney and stuff like that. The numbers,
like, we can think back to the fucking petite bourgeoisie from like the 17. Wait, when was the French? Mid 1700s, mid to late 1700s. I'm pretty sure 1780s around was the second revolution in France. But we can thank the bourgeoisie for that. Like, absolutely going through, taking over, and then taking over feudal interests, taking over nobles' interests, and then instead of replacing them with a common interest, replacing them with the interests of their own class, which were proprietors and owners of businesses and capital at the time. Just thinking that led to not the government being controlled by corporations and working into their interests to protect their property, but thinking that it happened the other way around. Just fucking imagine being such an absolute tool.
are just all there and easy for you to see. And you see people that actually care about personal liberties. Again, I think that if you're at risk, and you should make the right decision, right? Your body, your choice, right? Liberals, I agree. My body, my choice. I don't want to do this.
Oh yeah, that's fine. I don't want to let you into my restaurant. Bye.
And if you want to say
Bye.
your NBA basketball team, your choice, and you want to let me in,
yeah,
I'm 100% fine
Bye.
with never giving you another penny.
Good.
The idea
Bye.
that
Also, he's not going to do that. What he's going to do is pay for the NBA pass and then still buy Bucks merch and shit. Like, there's no spine in any of these conservatives that say that they're just never going to spend money there again. They don't actually believe any of the shit they say and will literally go back to spending money within the day. Like, remember when he was on his whole big anti-Marvel thing and went, you should just boycott Disney and Disney Plus, get out, just don't do Disney Plus when Gina Carano got fired. That's what it was. Just like, everyone should cancel their Disney Plus for just a few months. Let them know we mean business. He literally can't even pretend that he's going to boycott something long term.
would require this should be shocking. It should appall people, and it's a really sad how do I say it? What's the right word for it? It's a sad manifestation of just how beaten down people are and just how desperate they are just to get back to living in what they perceive as a normal society. The problem is, this is one of the biggest slippery slopes. First, we let them keep us in our house. Then we let them tell us to wear a mask. Then we let them tell us to wear 2. Then we let them tell us to wear 3. Now we're going to let them to tell us that we got to carry around our health records to get into public places. This is insanity, and people need to fight back against it. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.
All right. So, like I said, nothing of substance there. I mean, it was an anti-vaccine passport video, so we knew there really wasn't going to be. But let me be very clear. Sure, if this was something where, like, food and water and utilities and stuff like that are being, or the right, we'll even go with the right to vote and, like, government assembly. If all of that was being held behind, like, being able to use or having a vaccine, then there might be an argument there. There'd be an argument for, like, well, no, you can't do that. That is eroding civil liberties. This is literally private businesses telling you you can't come in there and watch their fucking Marvel movie or whatever. Or whatever you can't bowl there. You can't go in there and gamble. Like, it's an absolute nothing burger that has nothing to do with civil liberties. And you should be getting vaccinated anyway, so it's not something you should be worried. Hey, with that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. And if you did, leave a like on it and subscribe to the channel. It really, really helps the channel grow, and I appreciate it a ton. And with that being said, y'all have yourself a wonderful day. Okay, taking the headphones off. That's the end of reaction content. Oh, I'm so tired. Been live for like 2 hours. Okay. Yeah, that was a decent stream. Thank you guys for coming through. I plan to be streaming every Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern. We'll call it 4 p.m. Eastern. I'll post up a schedule on my Twitter and into my YouTube channel so you can check it out. Once again, thanks for coming through.